So it's been more than 2 weeks since Hurricane Matthew hit our area, but recovery continues. And one organization that has shown no signs of stopping is the American Red Cross. And the ways our Northeast Florida chapter has responded to help the community is incredible. Christian Smith with Red Cross is joining us now to break down what exactly our local chapter has been doing to help with relief efforts. Thank you for being here, Christian.
Oh, well, thanks for having me.
And first, I want to point out that just because the hurricane is over with, you guys are still staying busy.
Well, sure, and I think that as we all look at what's going on in North Carolina and the impact there, and we all look back to what's happened here, if you're one of the 1,000 homes right here in our community that have been, people are not going to be able to go back into, this is a big disaster for them, and it's still a big disaster for our community. We just were fortunate that not more people were impacted.
And to show the work that has already happened, we have it pulled up on the screen now. This breaks down some of the ways you've helped, not only in Florida, but in Georgia and the Carolinas. Talk about these numbers. I mean, the people that evacuated to your shelters, the meals given out.
Yeah, so when you really look at Red Cross as a whole, so when you look at the overnight stays, close to 100,000 of them across all 4 states. When you look at the number of meals just here in this local community and you think about the impact, almost 118, almost close to 120,000 meals right here, meals and snacks that we did. And then you think about the impact of the kind of supplies that we have distributed. And when you look at Northeast Florida, then you look at North Florida, and you look at Florida as a whole, all of these different states, but we're looking at really where we are here in Florida because that's the impact that we have right now, and that's what people are seeing. So when you think about the 1,200 health services that are provided, the mental health component, but I think the disaster relief supplies, as you see us driving into those communities, all of those supplies were handed out by volunteers going into those impacted communities, whether it was a cleanup kit or a mop or a broom. Each phase of this recovery has a process for us.
And like you mentioned, still working, still helping. What are you seeing as being the biggest concern right now for people? And what, 2 weeks after the storm, more than 2 weeks after, what are people primarily calling you about?
Well, we do still have a shelter open that we're trying to transition. And so those families, obviously, we want to get them back into a safe place. For those families that have gone back into their home and that have major or significant damage, or in some cases their homes are destroyed, we encourage everyone first and foremost to go through the FEMA process because obviously Red Cross is a charitable organization, not the government, but FEMA allows them to have access to those dollars. And then for those individuals that don't qualify for FEMA and that have a destroyed or major damage to their home, then they can work with the Red Cross and do from a casework perspective. And remembering that those financial resources that Red Cross might provide is not just financial, it's also the mental health component, it's working with them to see what other resources, sometimes it's even helping them with their insurance and filling out the FEMA application. So our casework process involves more than just giving them financial resources, albeit that's very important. We want them to have access to the FEMA resources because often, and most of the time, those are greater.
And Christian, to wrap up, talk about, just tell me really quickly how people can contact you guys if they are looking for assistance.
Well, the best thing to do is go through the 1-800 number because that puts you in the casework process. Obviously, during the day, we still have families that are calling in. We have caseworkers that are going out and working directly one-on-one with those families. So contacting using that 1-800 number, making sure that you and your family understand the process, and then recognizing that there are assistance available through FEMA, and then in the different counties, making sure that as we go through that process, if you need additional assistance in the Red Cross, we're here and ready to help those that have the most significant impact.
Thank you so much, Christian, with the Red Cross joining us, and we will have that information for you, the number to call, and everything she just mentioned later this morning on news4jax.com.